Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yasodanandana Vrajagaranjana. Yasodanandana Vrajagaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yasodanandana Vrajagaranjana. Yasodanandana Vrajagaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Bhagavacharya Saris Dishi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Gauda Vaishnavinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gauda Bhaktivinoda Ki ISKCON founder Srila Prabhupada Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki, Mayapur Dham Ki, Navadvip Dham Ki, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki, Jamuna Mai Ki, Ganga Mai Ki, Tulsi Devi Ki, Bhakta Devi Ki, Shishi Radha Golokananda Ki, Samaveda Bhaktarinda Ki, Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda. So we're continuing our reading of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and we're still in the Madhya-lila chapter 24, the 61 explanations of the Atmaram verse. And actually we're getting close to the end of this. It's Lord Chaitanya speaking to Sanata Goswami, and he's finished talking about the Atmaram verse, and he's given him instructions of what he wants him to do. This is their meeting. They've been 2 months, so he's getting his marching orders. You know, he's sending him to Vrindavan, and he's wanting him to write books. And like one of the books is about devotees and, you know, Hari Bhakti Vilas, basically what we got to know today is the Hari Bhakti Vilas rules, you know, how deity worship and how to select a guru, you know, what a disciple should be when he approaches a guru. So many things. If you build a temple, how you build a temple. This is all these rules and regulations in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. And so, of course, Prabhupada did say also in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that's specifically meant for India as far as a package. But there are rules and regulations out of that we also follow, that Prabhupada follows. So one of the best examples, analogies I get it, it's like a pharmacy that the guru disperses based on the individual. You know, he might go, you need to do this and you need to do that, or don't do this, based on his understanding of the personality. So here we're at, we just finished talking about, you know, the very long purports here from Prabhupada, and we just talked about how to approach a guru, the value of a guru, and now we're on text 331. And, okay. You should discuss the qualifications necessary for receiving a mantra, the perfection of the mantra, the purification of the mantra, initiation, morning duties, remembrance of the Supreme Lord, cleanliness, and washing the mouth and other parts of the body. So these things are, like I said, these are stuff in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. The purport, the following injunction is given in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, chapter 1, text 194, regarding mantra adhikari, the qualification for receiving mantra initiation. Tantrikshu ma cha matresu dikshayam yositam api sad vinam adhikaro sti sudra dinam chasad diyam. Sudras and women who are chaste and sincerely interested in understanding the absolute truth are qualified to be initiated with the Pancharika mantras. This is confirmed by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Mam hi partha vaparstitya pisu papa yonaya shriyo vyastata sudras te piyate param gitam atim. O son of Prita, those who take shelter of me, though they be born of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, merchants, and Sudras, workers, can attain the supreme destination. If one actually wants to serve Krishna, it doesn't matter whether one is a Sudra, Vaishya, or even a woman. If one is sincerely eager to chant the Hare Krishna mantra or Diksha mantra, one is qualified to be initiated according to Pancharika process. However, according to Vedic principles, only a Brahmin who is fully engaged in his occupational duties can be initiated. Sudras and women are not admitted into the Vaidika initiation. Unless one is fit according to the estimation of the spiritual master, one cannot accept a mantra from the Pancharatrika Vidhi or the Vaidika Vidhi. When one is fit to accept the mantra, one is initiated by the Pancharatra Vidhi or the Vaidika Vidhi. In either case, the result is the same. So based on that, here again, one has a desire. They approach a spiritual master, and then that person, first off, he agrees to follow the rules and regulations. For regulator principles, we have certain rules. And once they agree to do that, then they get initiated. That initiation, an agreement of following the rules of regulation, is what's called the Vaidhi process of devotional service. There's two processes. There's the spontaneous and there's the regulated. So that beginning, which what initiation means means a starting point. And so then one gets, and then the main thing here Prabhupada is emphasizing is the qualification that one has to have. And then as one becomes purified, the initiations continue, because one will enter into the spontaneous platform. And on that spontaneous platform, eventually one will get initiated by a Rasika devotee. This is extremely rare. It takes lifetimes to get there. Not just lifetime. It actually just takes a lot of devotion, a lot of desire. The lifetimes depends on one's desire and dedication. That's a secondary thing. So these initiations are a very good, big part of the process. Okay, so we keep reading. These are very long purports here in this section. So, regarding the mantra siddhi adi sahodhana, the efficiency of the mantra, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives 16 divisions, which are confirmed in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, beginning with chapter 1, text 204. So even when you read Chaitanya Charitamrita or read Chaitanya Bhagavat, sometimes these instructions are given. This is where I learned most of the, even though I do have a set of the Hari Bhakti Vilas, what I practically apply is what I hear from the acharyas. When they apply particular something, then I try to apply it to my life, and their instructions in the books. So these are Siddha, Sadhya, Susiddha, and Ari. These four principles are divided into further: Siddha, Siddha Sadhya, Siddha Susiddha, Siddha Ari, Sadhya Siddha, Sadhya Susiddha, Sadhya Ari, Susiddha Siddha, Susiddha Sadhya, Susiddha Ari, Ari Siddha, Ari Sadhya, Ari Susiddha, and Ari. So these again, these are different divisions of the process of initiation. Those who are initiated by the 18-syllable mantra do not need to consider the above-mentioned 16 divisions, as enjoined in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, first chapter, 215, 219, and 220. This is what Prabhupada, and here in the West, he said it's impossible for everybody to follow all these rules and regulations. It's not going to happen. As bell metal is turned into, there's sodhana, or purification of the mantra, but there's no such consideration for Krishna mantra. Balivat Krishna mantaran samskara rapeksanam nahi. The Krishna mantra is so strong, there is no question of sodhana. That's Hari Bhakti Vilas 1.2.235. The Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is so powerful. Doesn't require any prerequisite. Lord Chaitanya opened up the storehouse of love and distributed it freely. Anybody can chant it without any restriction. Okay, as far as Diksha is concerned, one should consult the Madhya chapter 15, text 108. On the whole, when a person is initiated according to the Panchatrika Vidhi, he has already attained the position of a Brahmin. This is enjoined in Hari Bhakti Vilas chapter 2, text 12. As bell metal can be turned into gold when treated with mercury, a disciple initiated by a bona fide guru immediately attains the position of a Brahmin. As far as the time of Diksha initiation is concerned, everything depends on the position of the guru. As soon as a bona fide guru is received by chance or by a program, one should immediately take the opportunity to receive initiation. The book called Tattva Sangara is stated, if by chance one gets a Sadguru, it doesn't matter whether one is in the temple or the forest. If the Sadguru, the bona fide spiritual master, agrees, one can be initiated immediately without waiting for a suitable time or place. Concerning Patra Smriti, remembrance of the Lord in the morning, in the early morning hours known as Brahma Muhurti, one should get up and immediately chant the Hare Krishna mantra, or at least Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. In this way, one should remember Krishna. Some slokas or prayers should also be chanted. By chanting, one immediately becomes auspicious and transcendental to the infection of the material qualities. Actually, one has to chant and remember the Lord Krishna 24 hours or as much as possible. Smarta vasatanam vishnur vishmarta yona jatuchit sarve vidhi nisedhadha sur et yor eva kinkara. Krishna is the origin of Lord Vishnu. He should always be remembered and never forgotten at any time. All the rules and regulations, all the rules and prohibitions mentioned in the Shastras should be the servants of these two principles. This is a quotation from the Padma Purana, from the portion called Brihat Sahasra Nama Srota. The word pratakriya, krita, in the present verse of the Chaitanya Charitamrita means that one should evacuate regularly in the morning and then cleanse himself by taking a bath. One has to gargle, archamanam, and brush his teeth, danta, davana. He should do this either with twigs or a toothbrush, whatever is available. This will purify the mouth. Then one should take his bath. Actually, householders and vanaprasthas should bathe 2 times a day. Pratar, madhya, manano, sanam, vanaprastha, grihastayo. A sannyasi should bathe 3 times daily, and a brahmachari may take only 1 bath a day. Whenever one is not able to take a bath in water, he can bath by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. One also has to perform his Sanyadi Vandana. That is, one has to chant his Gayatri mantra 3 times daily, morning, noon, and evening. All right. Text 332. One should describe how in the morning one should regularly brush his teeth, take his bath, offer prayers to the Lord, and offer obeisance to the spiritual master. You should also describe how one should render service to the spiritual master and paint one's body with the 12 places of the Uttava Pundra, Tilak, as well as how one should stamp one's body with the holy names of the Lord or symbols of the Lord, such as the disc and club. So it's an example of some of the things that we don't do. This is all comes from the Hari Bhakti Vilas. It's 5 volumes. It's pretty lengthy. This is again Lord Chaitanya talking to Sanatana Goswami, telling him what he needs to do. After this, you should describe how one should decorate his body with gopi, chandana, wear neck beads, collect tulsi leaves from the tulsi tree, cleanse his cloth and the altar, cleanse his own house or apartment, and go to the temple and ring the bell just to draw attention to Lord Krishna. So we got to, because that's what, there's a bell, everybody probably knows, of course it's out here. Not too many people are going to be ringing that bell unless you get a big long stick or something. Eventually that bell will come. But in my temples, you see the bell. You announce the Lord that you're coming. Then you come in, you say, Radha Govinda. You chant the Lord's name when you enter the temple. Okay, 334. Also describe deity worship, wherein one should offer food to Krishna at least 5 times daily, and in due time place him on a bed. You should also describe the process of offering artik and the worship of the Lord according to the list of 5, 16, and 50 ingredients. So we're going to read this, and Prabhupada has this in the purport. There's a very long purport. But this is a deity worship. And then there's, deity seva, and then there's seva aparad. There's fences that we have to avoid when worshiping. Of course, it's a lot more elaborate in the temple, but similarly in one's home. It doesn't really make any difference. You perform a service every morning in your house or at the temple, it's the same. You have to serve the deity. Purport. The 5 ingredients for worshiping the deity are very good scents, very good flowers, incense, a lamp, and something edible. As for sodaso panchara, the 16 ingredients, one should provide a sitting place, asan, ask Krishna to sit down, offer arghya, offer water to wash the legs, wash the mouth, offer muja parkra. It's a gesture of hand, mujas. We don't do those things. I mean, some people who know them could do them. Offer water for washing the mouth, bathe the Lord, offer garments, decorate the Lord's body with ornaments. Offer sweet scents. 12, offer flowers with good fragrance. That's a challenge. Like the rose or champaka. Offer incense. Offer a lamp. Give good food, and 16, offer prayers. Basically, these are done based on the one's resources, what you have to offer. Okay, continuing. In the Hari Bhakti Vilas, chapter 11, text 127 through 140, there's a vivid description of what is required in deity worship. There are 64 items mentioned. In the temple, worship should be so gorgeous that all 64 items should be available for the satisfaction of the personality of Godhead. So basically, it shouldn't be miserly when it comes to worshiping the deities. These 64 items mentioned in the temple should be worshipped so gorgeous. Okay, 64 items should be available for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes it is impossible to get all 64 items. Therefore, we recommend that at least on the first day of the installation, all 64 items should be available. When the Lord is established, worship with all 64 items should continue as far as possible. The 64 items are as follows. 1, there must be a bell hanging in front of the temple so that whoever comes into the temple can ring the bell. Okay, we can check that one off. The item is called prahohana, or offering oneself submissively to the Lord. This is the first item. The second one, the visitor must chant Jaya Shri Radha Govinda, or Jaya Shri Radha Madhava, or Jaya Radha Golokananda, if that's the Lord of that particular temple, that you want to call them by their name. When the bell rings, do this when it rings the bell. In either case, the word Jaya must be uttered. One should immediately offer obeisances to the Lord, falling down like a stick. There must be a regular Mangal Artik in the temple during the early morning, an hour and a half before sun rises. There must be an asan, sitting place before the altar. The asan is for the spiritual master. The disciple brings everything before the spiritual master, and the spiritual master offers everything to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After Mangal Artik, the deity is supposed to wash his teeth by using a twig. Therefore, a twig must be offered. Water must be offered for washing the deity's feet. Arghya should be offered. Water for archanam should be offered. 10. Madhu Parka, a small bowl containing madhu, honey, a little ghee, a little water, a little sugar, yogurt, and milks should be offered. So that's Charnamrita. We have that after, we get that in the morning, the remnants. Arghya should be offered. Water or archanam should be offered. Okay, wait a minute. This is called Madhu Paraka Archanam. One should place wooden slippers before the Lord. One should massage the body of the Lord. One should massage the body of the Lord with oil. With a soft, wet sponge, one should remove all the oil smeared on the Lord's body. One should bathe the Lord with water in which nicely scented flowers have been soaked for some time. 16, after bathing the body of the Lord with water, one should bathe him with milk. 17, then one should bathe him with yogurt. Then one should bathe him with ghee. Then one should bathe him with honey. Then one should bathe him with water in which sugar has been dissolved. Then one should wash the deity with water and chant the mantra. So we do this abhishek. This is some on special occasions. These things are done. Typically, like you don't necessarily do it with the deities. You have a small set that represents the deities. We have a small Radha-Gokananda set of deities. I think Champaka now, Krishna Priya used to keep those, but I think now Champakalata keeps them. Okay, continuing, number 22. One should dry the entire body of the Lord with a towel. 23, a new dress should be put on the Lord's body. A sacred thread should be placed on his body. Water should be offered for cleansing his mouth. Archmanam. 26, nicely scented oils, like liquid sandalwood pulp, should be smeared over the Lord's body. All kinds of ornaments and crowns should be placed on his body. Then one should offer flowers and decorative flowers. One should burn incense. Lamps should be offered. Precautions should always be taken so that the demons and atheists cannot harm the body of the Lord. Right? So we have like gates, locks. These things have happened in the past. There have been people who've caused harm. 32, food offerings should be placed before the Lord. 33, spices for chewing should be offered. 34, betel nuts should be offered. At the proper time, when there should be some arrangements for the Lord to take rest in a bed. The Lord's hair should be combed and decorated. First-class garments should be offered. A first-class helmet should be offered. Garments should be scented. There should be kastuba jewels and other ornaments offered. I don't think we have any kastuba jewels. I don't know. If we got it, you offer it. A variety of flowers should be offered. Another Mangal Artik should be offered. A mirror should be offered. The Lord should be carried on a nice palkin to the altar. The Lord should be seated on the throne. And again, water should be given for washing his feet. Something again should be offered for eating. Evening artik should be offered. The Lord should be fanned with a charmer fan, and an umbrella should be placed over his head. The Hare Krishna mantra and approved song should be sung. Musical instruments should be played. One should dance before the deity. One should circumambulate the deity. One should again offer obeisances. One should offer different types of prayers, hymns at the Lord's lotus feet. One should touch the Lord's lotus feet with one's head. This may not be possible for everyone, but at least the Pujari can do this. So when you do Pujari work, this is available. I mean, we see the system that Prabhupada gives us is kind of in this, that when you see the Lord, the first thing we do is we offer prayers. This is all Srimad Bhagavatam. If you look, as we read all these stories, and we see how each one of these individuals act, it's similar to what we practice. So you see the Lord, the first thing you do is you offer obeisances. Then you offer some kind of prayers. You should sing some, we typically don't compose our own prayers if you have them intimately. If not, we have a whole prayer book. You sing. Mangalartik, we have a standard set of prayers. In a moment, we're going to have, prayers are going to be sung. So there's a standard. But, like Prahlad or Dhruva Maharaj, when he finally meditated and he saw Vishnu. At first, he didn't know what to say. He was like in shock, which was natural. You see the Lord finally see the Lord. And he's like, abada, abada. He couldn't say anything. And so Lord Vishnu touched him with his conch shell, and he was able to offer prayers. And we see when we read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, when the Lord Chaitanya, all his associates, when he started revealing who he really was, and they came before him, they'd offer obeisances. Then he would say, offer prayers. He would say, everyone, each one offer some prayers. So this is what we do. We get trained up. So when it actually happens, when y'all get to actually see the Lord, when it happens, you'll be trained up and know what to do. You offer your obeisances, and then you try to say something in glorification of the Lord or the glorification of the spiritual master. Okay, so let me try to find out where I was. Okay, yeah, songs should be sung. Instruments should be played. One should dance. Okay, one should offer different types of prayers and hymns at the Lord's. Okay, we did that. Okay, flowers offered on the previous day should touch one's head. One should take the remnants of the Lord's food. One should sit before the Lord and think that he is massaging the Lord's legs. See, that's pretty nice. One should decorate the Lord's bed with flowers before he takes his rest. One should offer one's hand to the Lord. One should take the deity to his bed. One should wash the feet of the Lord, then sit him on the bed. One should place the Lord on the bed and then massage his feet. So basically, this is basically done with prayers. We don't remove the deities off the altar. The bed is laid out there for the Lord, and then it's an offering. Here's the bed is for you. You should come and take rest. So the Bajari does that in a ceremonial type way, making it available. Artik should be offered to the deities 5 times daily, early in the morning before sunrise, later in the morning at noon, in the evening, and at night. This means that there should be worship and a change of dress and flowers. As far as edibles are concerned, all items should be first-class preparations. This is very important because sometimes this could also be lax, and this has to be very careful, especially in the temple. That based on, again, one's means, one's ability, and therefore we should actually have people cooking in the temple who can cook. That they have a quality, they can make something nice preparations. Not just because we have to have a do offering, put anybody in there and they just throw whatever it is together and offer it. And Prabhupada sometimes when he traveled, he would taste. And there was a time in Germany and a time in India when he tasted what was offered. And he said, it's not even fit to be fed to dogs. He was very upset. And then sometimes they find out they're hiring people to cook, which he didn't like either. The devotees should be cooked, because it's based on one's devotion. So we're trying to develop this bhakti. So, based on this, one should be very careful about this. There should be first-class rice, dal, fruit, sweet rice, vegetables, and a variety of foods to be sucked, drunk, and chewed. All the edibles offered to the deities should be extraordinarily excellent. In Europe and America, there is presently no monetary scarcity. People are not poor, and if they follow these principles of deity worship, they will advance in spiritual life. I mean, in this temple, there's no lack. There's so much support in this temple. There's no lack for the deities to be served opulently. As far as placing the deity in the bed is concerned, if the deity is large and heavy, it is not possible to move him daily. It is better that a small deity, which is also worshipped, be taken to the bed. The mantra should be chanted, Argacha Sayana Stanam Priyabahi Saha Keshava. O Keshava, kindly come to your bed, along with Srimati Radharani. That is in the Hari Bhakti Vilas 11, text 40. So we can see there's a huge amount of thought went into this process. The deity should be placed in the bed with Radharani, and this should be indicated by bringing the wooden slippers from the altar to the bedside. When the deity is laid down, his legs should be massaged. Before laying the deity down, a pot of milk and sugar should be offered to him. After taking this milk, the deity should lie down and should be offered betel nuts and spices to chew. So that's pretty elaborate. Of course, there's some modifications, as Prabhupada mentioned. Text 335. The characteristics of the deity should be discussed, as well as the characteristics of the Shalagram Shila. One should also discuss visiting the deities in the temple and touring the holy places like Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwarka. One should glorify the holy name and explain that one must carefully give up offenses when chanting the holy name. One should also describe the symptoms of a Vaishnava and explain that one must give up or nullify all kinds of seva aparad, offenses in deity worship. And so there's a purport. Probably I was going to discuss different offenses in deity worship. Of course, they used to chant the 10 offenses every day. It's probably more important to chant those than to chant the Shishastaka prayers, to understand these offenses, especially start to understand, because this is what the biggest hindrance is. You're not going to make any advancement on those Shishastaka prayers if you're committing offenses. You're going to be hindered. Okay, so purport. The devotee should always be careful not to commit the 10 offenses while chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. If a devotee very strictly follows the methods of deity worship, he will naturally and quickly become a pure Vaishnava. A pure Vaishnava has unflinching faith in the Lord, and he does not deviate at all. He is always engaged in perfect deity worship. One should also note the specific offenses against deity worship. This is mentioned in the Sankhya Purana, Avita Kanda, spoken by Vasudeva himself. One should liquidate all kinds of offenses. The Shalagram Shila should be offered with tulsi, where a sufficient quantity of tulsi leaves are available. Worship of Shalagram Shila should be introduced in all ISKCON temples. Shalagram Shila is the form of the Lord's mercy. The worship of the deity with the 64 items mentioned may be a very difficult job, but the Lord has become so small that anyone in the temple can carefully handle deity worship simply by performing the same activities with the Shalagram Shila. There are 32 offenses to the deity that should be avoided. One should not enter the temple in a vehicle, basically like what do they call those? You carry somebody in a palanquin, that Of course, not too many people are going to drive into the vehicle, you know. Let's see, that was number 1. Shoes and slippers should be removed before entering the temple. One should offer obeisance as soon as he sees the deity. One should enter the temple after taking a bath. In other words, one should be very clean. One should not offer obeisances to the Lord with one hand. This is kind of a simple thing because a lot of people, whatever you have, you set it down and you offer the obeisance. You want to give everything to the Lord. You're not holding something back. See, Prabhupada, when you see those videos of Prabhupada, when he greeted the deities, had his japa bag on, he would just offer dandavats, his japa bag hanging around his neck. One should not circumambulate the demigods before the deities. One should not spread his legs before the deity. One should not sit down before the deity with his legs crossed, nor should one touch his legs with his hands. Some of these could be a little challenging. One should not lie down before the deity. One should not eat before the deity. Because a lot of times, even in here where they used to have Sunday feasts in here, would eat in here. It was cold in the wintertime after on Sunday feast, but they would just close the curtains. Yeah. One should not speak lies before the deity. One should not speak very loudly before the deity. Of course, there's that pastime about the witness deity, you know, that when he, who was that? Satchagopal, yeah, that whole pastime where Lord Krishna, you know, the Brahma was going to offer his daughter to Satchagopal, but then when they got to the village, it was reneged, so then the Lord came as the witness deity. Now, you don't speak lies before the deity. He told them, don't say anything you can't back up before the Lord, because he promised his daughter before the deity. One should not talk nonsense before the deity. One should not cry before the deity. That's kind of interesting. One should not deal with others before the deity. This is kind of important because sometimes after we greet the deity, sometimes there's prajapa actually goes on in the temple room. You've got to be very careful. That should all go outside. Sometimes you can go into the side room, but it's a bad habit that we have to remember that after the greeting of the deities, the Lord's standing right there. Then all of a sudden you start ignoring the Lord and you start talking to each other about whatever, you know, can you give me a ride to the airport? You know, can you do this? Those things should be done. It's a habit. Actually, it's one of those things that's done. It's an offense, according to what Prabhupada is telling us. Okay, one should not utter harsh words before the deity. One should not cover himself with a blanket. One should not talk enviously with others before the deity. One should not praise others before the deity. One should not use slang before the deity. One should not pass air before the deities. One should not neglect 64 items. One should not neglect the 64 items of deity worship. And 22, one should not eat anything not offered to the deity. 23, one should not neglect offering seasonal fruits as soon as they are available. 24, one should always offer fresh, untouched fruit to the deity. Untouched means you haven't eaten it. You know, it's fresh. I mean, you offer to the deity first. One should not sit with his back towards the deity. One should not offer obeisance to others before the deity. One should not sit near the deity without taking the spiritual master's permission. One should not be proud to hear himself praised before the deity. One should not blaspheme the demigods. One should not be unkind to others before the deities. 31, one should observe all festivals in the temple. And 32, one should not fight or quarrel before the deity. Okay, so these are long purports, a lot of stuff. So thank you very much. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga.
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Aravindanalaya Taksham Varhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Akom Vikamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Giram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami 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 Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Askachadi Satarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Askachadi Satarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Gadada Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Shri Radhe, Jaya Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Jaya Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Shri Radhe, Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Shri Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya, 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 Giri Jaya Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Shila Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Shila Prabhupada, Gurudev, Gurudev, Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Gurudev, Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jai Om Vishnupat Paramhanta Pavitra Charasana Shri Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinda Ki Jai. Jai Radha Krishna Kavakavana Shai Mukunda Radha Kunda Giri Gaurana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Maya Ki. Yamuna Maya Ki. Bhakti Devi Ki. Srimati Tulsi Devi Ki. Harinam Sankirtan Ki. Briyat Madanga Ki. Samaveda Bhaktivinda Ki. Gaur Premanandi. All glories assembled devotees. All glories assembled devotees. All glories assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Chaito Darpana Marjanam Bhavavahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitarnam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Purnamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahudan Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapitani Amita Smarane Natala Etadvishita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hadjanina Anuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Suhishuna Amani Namana Dana Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadaram Nanjanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatat Bhaktir Hoitaki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kribayata Vabada Pankaja Stita Duli Sajashim Vachintaya Nayanam Gladashu Daraya Varanam Gadguru Dayagira Pulakarnishitam Vapukada Tavanamagrahane Bhavishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Bhavashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishyava Padamritamanastumam Adarshanam Marmahata Karotuva Yatatatava Vidadatulam Pato Matprananatastu Evanapara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire for, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your cause's devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, like 12 years or more, tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Thank you, Mother Chaturani.